Lest We Forget by me, Jerry Curry. Details of project. Select a controversial American figure from our area of study and record a 5-minute minimum YouTube presentation that more deeply explores his or her historical significance and consider their legacy from the vantage point of the 21st century. I chose Christopher Columbus. He is famously known for first discovering America. He is from Genoa, which at the time was not yet Italy. He was named after St. Christopher, and the name Christopher means the Christ bearer, for his family had a strong belief in Christianity. My source: a biography by Arnold Bradford called Christopher Columbus, which I felt was very detailed on Columbus's life. The book is written from many letters that Columbus wrote back home to his son, and other letters written in that time. The book really highlighted the struggles of Columbus's life before he set sail for America, and during his time at sea. This book had more details than I needed about Christopher Columbus. There's the book, Christopher Columbus by Arnold Bradford. Why his reputation remains mirrored still today. Columbus still has a reputation today because he was the first to find the Americas. Although he didn't settle in America or start any colonies on the mainland, he was the first to find the land out west. Although I feel that if people would actually get to know how harsh he was, he wouldn't be as popular today. Early life. Christopher came from a town called Genoa that was a city known for its wealth, its horticulture, and in its pride. His parents, Susanna Colombo and Domenico Colombo, were master weavers. He had a brother named Bartholomew and a sister named Bianetche. He also had another brother, Giacomo, who died young. He first went to sea at age 10, and the first record of his sea career was in 1495, so he claimed in letters to his son. However, historians question whether this is true or just him sailing on trade routes with his father. Life of Columbus. In 1479, he married a woman named Felipe, who was part of a wealthy family who were close companions of the great Prince Henry. They had one son together, Diego. He later lost his wife in 1485, but just 3 years later had another son named Ferdinand by a woman named Beatrice. But he never married her due to her common background. The proposal. For years, Columbus believed that there was land to the west and wanted to go to the unknown. He first introduced a plan to King John II in 1484, but demanded too much for any discovery. He also spoke to Count of Medina Silla about his plan too, who was an important grandees in Spain and owner of a large merchant fleet. In the winter of 1486, Queen Isabella took some interest in his plan. Columbus wanted to sail out west so bad that he got back in touch with King John. Though Columbus barely had anything to his name, he still stuck to all his demands with any discovery. The demands for his findings. Columbus had high demands for anything that he found. In the book, he was described to be as greedy as a schoolboy for the imaged gold, spices, and gems of the Orient. First, he wanted to be ennobled and armed as a knight with golden spurs. Secondly, he wanted the title of Grand Admiral of the Ocean Sea, and at that time the admiral was the most important dignitary afloat. Next, he wanted to be the perpetual viceroy and governor of all the islands and the lands that he discovered. Then lastly, he wanted a tenth of all the income accruing to the king from everything he found or that came from what he found. And in future expeditions he should have the right to put up 1/8 of the expense in return for 1/8 of the profit. Set sail. After years of trying to convince kings and queens of lands out west, Queen Isabella approved his plan to set sail west. On April 17th, 1492, he signed a contract with Spanish sovereigns to sail west, and on August 3rd, 1492, he finally set sail. Supremely human. Columbus had a theory that if he sailed west, he would hit the Chinese province of Manji after 5,000 miles. He thought that the Earth was much smaller than it actually is. When he finally set sail, he was searching for Simpango, which was told to him to be the island of temples, palaces of gold, and riches in all precious metals and precious stones. However, he never found it and went from island to island thinking that he would find the island and its gold. Although everything he found suggests he was wrong, he still thought he was for sure right. Gold and fame hungry. The voyage back was supposed to bring faith to the people who lived in darkness, according to Queen Isabella. However, Columbus's personal goal was to find the island called Ciabo, which the Indians told him had gold. Although Columbus had this idea there was land out west, and all he really wanted was gold and fame. That's why he went from island to island in search of Ciabo, the island of gold, which he thought was for sure Simpango. Indians into slaves. When Columbus first arrived in the Bahamas, he said that the Indians happily exchanged with them everything that they had. The Indians had no weapons like theirs, and he described their world as relatively innocent. Although most of the Indians he encountered were so nice to him, he was not as nice to them. When he returned the second time in search of the Golden Island, he sent back many of those Indians as payment for supplies. He told the Queen that the Indians he sent back were the ones he had heard to be cannibals, and that they shall be weaned from their evil habits and enslaved. But these Indians were not cannibals. They were the same ones that was so nice and giving to him. Columbus later sent 1,500 Indians to Spain, thus starting the Indian slave trade from the Indies. Almost all of them would eventually die and prove to be not profitable to the Queen. Treatment of the Indians. Eventually Columbus would master the whole island of Hispaniola and made the Indians who lived there pay him in gold and cotton. The punishment for non-payment of the tribute was death. Not being used to the hard labor and used to being free to do what they wanted, the Indians tried to take refuge in the mountains. But the conquerors evolved a new sport of manhunting, rounding up Indians and killing those who resisted. Authorities estimated over 250,000 Indians on the island when they first landed, and in just 3 years, a third of them were dead. By 1548, only about 500 Indians were left on the island, and a once wonderful island was now destroyed. How I think we should remember Columbus today. I think we should remember him as a harsh, money-hungry seaman who happened to find America by luck. He was very harsh to the Indians of these islands and sent many of them back as payment for food and supplies to be sent to him. He claimed that he was sending back cannibal Indians, when in fact they were very nice and giving people that he was sending back. Columbus only wanted his fame and gold, and he would have done anything to get it. My opinion on Columbus. I think that Columbus was a great seaman and was going to find land to the west no matter who he had to get to help him. I think that he was too driven to find gold and fame that he looked past the sweet Indians that gave him whatever he wanted or needed. But to be honest, that's how a lot of people, even in the 21st century, act. They are blinded by money and fame and don't realize who they hurt on the way to get what they want. The end.